Joining us now is Illinois Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger. And Congressman, I'm led to believe that Republicans feel like the money that's out there for hospitals and states and local governments is there. They want to see that spent first before they reconsider more money, but that you guys really want to get this small business funding done quickly because the Small Business Administration will end up running out of cash. How quickly do you expect to see a deal made?
I hope this needs to get done soon. I agree with plussing up the triple P loans, the payroll protection program. It was obviously way more demand than we assumed right at first. But we also need to get the money out to the hospitals, and making sure that they can survive is important. So I think we can kind of walk and chew gum here too. I think getting this out the door is important. Figuring out what else needs to be done and getting that done.
Hey, Congressman, something that has traditionally been so important to the Republican side of the aisle, a very basic question. How are you ever going to police accountability? How is anyone or any commission ever going to get their arms around this amount of money going to all these separate places?
That's a really good question. We've left a lot of leverage to the states to do that. But it's a big problem. We talk about debt and deficit. We talk about accountability. But this is a massive emergency. I use this as the equivalent of, if the roof on your house is caving in, even if you're in debt, you're still going to take out a credit card because the damage would be unthinkable if you allowed it to cave in. I wish I could say we would account for every dollar. I certainly hope we can. But right now, the matter is just getting the money out the door. Nothing replaces a good economy, but the more we can do to preserve and recover, the better.
Congressman, I don't know if you saw the images, I'm sure you did, out of Wisconsin, the neighboring state for you, of the voters waiting in line some as long as 5 hours, socially distanced, in the rain and the cold, during a pandemic, to vote in a primary. There's a lot of talk about amping up vote by mail across the country. The president's not a fan of it. What do you think needs to be done to make sure that Americans are safe when they go out to vote in November? Does that mean increasing mail-in ballots, or do you think it's fine?
Well, I think almost every state has a vote-by-mail program, so promote that. Promote, early voting where you can keep social distance. We don't know what this is going to look like in November. Honestly, it is a state-by-state decision to run elections. That's what we believe. That's what the law is. And part of the controversy in Wisconsin, though, I'm not necessarily agreeing with going forward on that election, but was that the governor didn't have the authority unilaterally to slow that down. So I think to the extent we can keep everybody safe, do it. The more people that vote, that's great.
Speaking of voting, as much as the American public needs Congress, because you guys, of course, are the appropriators, how are you feeling these days about the idea of 535 legislators and all of the staff members required piling into one building, one complex these days?
Well, it was a massive oversight, a massive failure after 9/11 to prepare for something like this. I mean, who can think about, this happening? But after 9/11, we knew that there should be a requirement or an ability in an emergency situation to vote from afar. That doesn't exist. So we have to address that when we can get back here. The problem is our rules right now don't allow, any kind of proxy voting or any kind of vote on the internet. And that's something that needs to be rectified.
Speaking of the internet, we've become very forgiving on Wi-Fi issues. Congressman Adam Kinzinger, thank you so much for joining us from home this afternoon.